Well, any football coach will tell you victory formation really is the best formation. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elsen, and this is Coyote Corner. Road wins have been few and far between for the USD football program. It had been just under 2 years since the Coyotes last won a game away from the Dakota Dome, but you had to go even further back to find the last time South Dakota won a game outside. That was at Minnesota in 2010. 5 years and 1 day later, Joe Glenn and the Yotes had a chance to end both of those skids as they traveled west for a date with UC Davis. To Aggie Stadium we go. Sixth meeting all time between the two programs, the first 5 of which had been decided by 4 points or less. After Davis put up 3 on its opening possession, the Coyotes looking to answer. USD wanted to get things going on the ground, and they did. Trevor Bama, 26 yards to the Aggie 10. That was the start of a big day for him. USD would finish the drive through the air, though. Ryan Sager finds California native Eric Shuford for an 8-yard score, and the Yotes take their first lead of the season, 7-3. The defense started to get awfully stingy from there. Drew Iddings leading the way. Big 94 drops Josh Kelly for a 3-yard loss, and on the very next snap, he knocks it away from Ben Scott. The Aggies recover the fumble, but Iddings did get credited with his 7th career sack. Still 7-3 in the second, but not for long. Bama continues to set the tone. Another big gain to take it back inside the Davis 20, and this time he gets to finish what he started. Bama walks in from 10 yards out to make it 14-3 USD. Ensuing Aggies possession, that defense strikes again. Scott's pass intercepted by Jacob Warner, his second pick of the day, 3rd for his career, and USD takes over at the Davis 36. That led to this. Miles Bergner from 30 yards out, he'd tack on a 45-yarder just before the half to put the Yotes up 20-3 at the break. Third quarter, here comes Davis. After a USD turnover, the Aggies cash in with a 2-yard touchdown from Manu Samoa Luga, and it's 20-10. Davis would get the ball back less than 2 minutes later, and this time, they hit the home run. Scott looking deep for Chris Martin, 75-yard pitch and catch for the score, and just like that, the USD lead is cut to 3. Yotes needed an answer, and they get it from Bama. Take a look at this run. Little shake and bake. Nice little stiff arm there. 63 yards to the house. Bama went for a career-best 186, the most by a Yote since 2009. None of it bigger than that right there. 27-17 USD. The defense took over from there. We've heard a lot about the potential of defensive end Andrew Van Ginkel. Well, here's a little of what the coaches have been talking about. First career sack for him. USD finished with 4 of those on the day. That's half of their total from all of last year, and it helps the Coyotes close it out. They get that road monkey off their backs with a 27-17 win. What a night for Bama. Not only does he put up a career best on the ground, but he also led the team in receiving with 3 catches for 48 yards. All of it together earned him Missouri Valley Football Conference Offensive Player of the Week honors. But it wasn't just him. The defense was outstanding. Special teams were excellent. Just an all-around solid win for South Dakota.
Just a great feeling right now. It was an overall team win. We all played together. Loved it. First time coming back on a plane with a win since I've been here. So it's just a great feeling. We're all excited.
You can tell just the noise coming from the locker room. Everyone's happy. Everyone knows how big this was, especially going into Drake next week, and then we got a bye after that. So our main thing is we're not trying to look too far ahead and just go 1-0 every week. So that's what we did tonight.
Now, Bama wasn't the only Coyote to be honored for his performance in Saturday's win over the Aggies. Kicker punter Miles Bergner has been named the Valley's Special Teams Player of the Week. Bergner averaged 41.9 yards on 7 punts. 2 of those kicks went for 50+, and 3 of them pinned Davis inside its own 20-yard line. Bergner also averaged 59.8 yards on kickoffs with 1 touchback and connected on 2 of 3 field goal attempts. Well, 2 of USD's biggest weaknesses at Kansas State turned out to be 2 of the biggest strengths for the Coyotes against UC Davis. We'll find out how happy that made the head coach when we come back.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to Coyote Corner. Jay Elsen joined now here at the Dakota Dome by head coach of the University of South Dakota Coyotes, Joe Glenn. And Joe, after all the frustrations on the road that you've experienced over the past few years, how good did it feel to go out to Davis and come back with a win?
Yeah, it was a great feeling. Just real proud of the coaches and the kids for hanging in there, you know, and keep working hard, building toward this moment. We were healthy. I think that had a lot to do with it. And but they hung in there tough through it all, and a great summer, great fall camp. And, you know, we got shook down at K-State, but came back brilliantly and put it on Cal Davis, and a big win for us.
You said last week that if you guys were going to go do this and be successful on the road at Cal Davis, that you were going to have to get the running game going. And well, you certainly did that. You did it behind Trevor Bama, who had himself a career day, career high, 186 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Boy, was he good.
You've heard me talk about him before. He's a football player. There's no doubt about it. And he's got toughness. He's got a good burst. He is a throwback. There's no doubt. And a tough kid and a wonderful leader, team captain for us. So it was a Kodak moment for Trevor Bama, that's for sure.
Absolutely. On the defensive side, now lots to be happy about here. I thought it started up front. Davis couldn't get much of anything going on the ground on Saturday, less than 2 yards per rushing attempt. And when they tried to pass it, you generated some great pressure from that defensive line. Your guys really dominated the line of scrimmage on that side.
Well, I think it starts right in the middle with Big Drew Iddings and company. And before the night was over, we had 6 tackles for loss. And Drew had a couple of those. Andrew Van Ginkel, I think, had a couple. Spencer Hopkins had one there late in the game. He got in on the act. So it was just a fun night for the defense as well.
Let's talk a little bit more about that secondary. That pressure up front created some plays for your guys in the secondary. You ended up picking off 3 passes on the night. Jacob Porter got 2 of them. Tyson Graham got 1. They did get beat that one time deep, and I know you're not happy about that. But overall, how did you feel like that group played?
Well, excellent. You can't give up a 75-yard pass. If you're all the way down at the other end of the field, loosen up a little bit, at least at the safety position, and don't let them behind you. And but on the day, if you get 3 interceptions and a fumble recovery, your defense is doing a great job. 6 tackles for loss, a lot of big plays by our defense and a lot of guys making them, and then shook them down in the running game. I couldn't be happier. I thought our defense played really tough.
We've got to talk a little bit about special teams. These guys don't always get the love that they deserve, and sometimes they get thrown into the fire if they have a rough week like they did last week against Kansas State. But Marquise Williams had these guys ready to go. Coverage teams were outstanding. Cal Davis averaged 13.5 yards on kickoff returns, 1.7 yards on punt returns. That, again, helped keep that field position in your favor all night.
Right. We asked Miles Bergner to give us a little more hang, maybe not so much distance, and he had it down there right around 40, 45, 50. Jet Moreland went down once on the fly, nailed him. They were getting no punt returns, and I really thought our cover teams, kickoff cover as well, they were all over them. Had some new bodies in there, some starters on defense that we needed to get that thing shored up, and I thought Marquise did a great job of picking the right guys.
One final thought, Joe. In some of those road games that you didn't come out on top in the past, it's been a situation where you just weren't able to close the deal. You did that this time. You made the plays. They made a run at you in the third quarter, got within 3 points. Trevor answered with that long run you mentioned, and then the defense took it the rest of the way, along with those special teams.
Yes. I really do think the turning point, you had the big plays, but when we just took over field position in the second half with our punts and kickoff coverage and kickoff return, I think Paul Anderson had 2 returns for somewhere around 30, 40 yards.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, he was good. So special teams, offense, defense, all had a hand in it.
All right, well, Joe, congrats to the win, first and foremost. Thanks
Thank
again
you.
for your time this week. We're going to have more with Joe coming up in just a bit. But first, Andre Field's going to join us to talk about Saturday's storylines.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back. Well, there were a number of things that contributed to USD's win over UC Davis, but the real story of this particular victory was written pretty clearly. And for more on that, we bring in former USD defensive back and current Midco SN analyst Andre Fields. Andre, it's time for Saturday storylines, and we have to start with Trevor Bama. The Coyotes were determined to get the run game going, and the junior from Lamar's, Iowa, did that and then some. Joe Glenn has repeatedly said that he thinks Bama is one of the top running backs in the Valley, and we definitely saw that kind of form on Saturday as he runs for a career-high 186 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and this was the form, Jay, that we saw him have as a freshman and in flashes during his sophomore year before he was slowed down by injury. I think it was a huge confidence boost, not just for the running game, but for the offense and for the team to get this established heading back home this week. You know, we chalked some of last week up to just playing a really good Big 12 defense.
And he runs so physical, and he looked, very, very strong out there. He showed a little elusiveness at times. He broke that long touchdown run. He got away from a couple of guys. He showed that he can stiff arm a guy out of the way as well on that same run. I mean, just really, this is the Trevor Bama that we've gotten used to seeing. Just so strong out there. And certainly the type of performance that would make him the kind of that bell cow running back that we've been used to seeing the Coyotes have over the years. Well, USD wanted to establish the run. Another one of the top priorities was to play better on special teams. USD really hurt in this area against Kansas State a week prior, but no such problems on Saturdays. The coverage teams were outstanding. They held the Aggies to less than 2 yards per punt return, just 13.5 yards on kickoff returns.
Yeah, there was a famous coach that once said that the biggest adjustments usually come between week 1 and week 2. We talked last week about how this was a new scheme that the coach was putting in on special teams and that there were new assignments, and it would take some time for the guys to get going. I think we saw some improvement from week 1 to week 2. I think it's going to continue to get better as the year progresses.
Yeah, well, and Miles Berger certainly deserves his share of the credit for this. He averaged almost 60 yards on kickoff, just shy of 42 yards per punt. He also pinned Davis inside its own 23 separate times. Aggies' average starting field position was their own 24-yard line, and Miles certainly played a big part in that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, field position is football, and that's what it is. We know we got a good one in Miles Bergner, so that doesn't surprise me with those stats.
All right, defensively now, one of the reasons the Coyotes decided to switch to that 4-3 defense was to try and generate more pressure on the quarterback. They were quiet in that area against K-State, as you might have expected, but not this time. Davis QB Ben Scott was on the run all night. USD sacked him 4 times. That's a big number, especially given the fact that they had 8 sacks all of last season.
Yeah, that's huge because defensively you didn't really know what you were going to get. We couldn't see a whole lot of how the 4-3 was going to work versus Big 12 Kansas State, but we saw huge adjustments this week. You can only improve from that, so that's a good start.
And you saw directly what that pressure can do for you as they forced 4 turnovers, one fumble, and then the 3 interceptions. They didn't turn them into much, but at the same time, you're creating those opportunities for your offense, and that is something very positive. Finally, USD closed the deal in this football game. Davis made a run at him early in the second half, got within 3 points, but the Yotes didn't let this one get away. The offense did its part, answering that run with a big touchdown, and the defense took over from there.
Yeah, this to me was the biggest key because over the last few years, that's the one thing the Yotes haven't been able to do is to close the deal, make big plays when they're needed. They did that consistently this week, and it turned into a road victory.
All right, it was a great win, ends that streak for them. Certainly looking forward to seeing if they can continue that run this week. Well, with that big road win under their belts, the Coyotes looking to make it back-to-back wins this weekend against Drake. We're going to preview Saturday's home opener right after this.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
After 2 weeks on the road, USD is eager to return to the comfy confines of the Dakota Dome. And the Coyotes will get that chance Saturday when they kick off the home portion of their schedule against Drake. For more on this week's opponent, we turn to the voice of Bulldog football, Chuck Reed from ESPN 1350 in Des Moines. Chuck, I think the Bulldogs surprised some people last week at North Dakota, nearly pulling off a big second-half comeback against the UND squad that had won at Wyoming the week before. What do you think that effort says about this team?
Last week, we started out pretty well. I mean, they scored right away, but we drove the ball down the field and missed a field goal, bounced off the right upright. And then after that, our offense kind of fell asleep. But in the second half, I think they found a few things that worked, and we started playing better offensively. And our defense played absolutely outstanding football in the second half, held North Dakota to under 70 yards, I think, total offense in the second half. And I think guys started to believe. And once that happened, that's when the game really started getting close and a nail-biter. So I think it's just the obstacle of convincing yourself you're as good as the other guy, even though the other guy's got an athletic scholarship and you don't. Once we did that, I think things look good for Drake, and I hope that it carries over to another scholarship team in South Dakota this week.
Offensively, it looks like Drake likes to throw the football. Quarterback Andy Rice averaging better than 261 yards a game, but he's also been sacked 8 times. How big of a concern is the offensive line?
Well, right now I think it's a pretty big concern because our best offensive lineman was Aaron Melton, Pioneer Football League first team preseason all-selection, and he suffered a leg injury in the first game, and he's out. And then we lost 2 more Saturday. That's going to be a big factor in the game, how well our reserve offensive linemen play, and hopefully nobody else gets hurt because we're starting to get a little thin up there on the offensive line with 3 guys out.
And finally, in your eyes, Chuck, what will win or lose this game for the Bulldogs?
I always say there's 3 things that have to happen for us when we play a scholarship football team. One of them is we can't turn the ball over. We simply can't do that. That's the number one nail in our coffin. If we turn it over, we will not win the football game. Second thing is we have to play with emotion, try to play at an emotional level that's very high above our opponent. I think we did that in the second half against North Dakota. We did not do it, I think, in the first half when they ran out to that 21-0 lead. And then the third thing is win field position, and that's moving the football. In the first half against North Dakota, we got pinned deep in our own territory for almost the entire second quarter and never got out. And they played with short fields. So we have to be able to move the football in order to make South Dakota go 80 yards or 85 or whatever. I think that's probably the biggest key is get the offense going a little bit, score some points, flip field position, and make South Dakota go a long way.
All right, that again, Chuck Reed from ESPN 1350 in Des Moines. Saturday's showdown will be the 17th all-time between Drake and USD, and it will come 6 years to the day of their most recent meeting. The Coyotes won that one 51-21, giving them 2 straight wins in the series. Now, with a bye week looming, Joe Glenn says his team needs to do whatever it takes to keep momentum moving in the right direction.
If there's any question, every game kind of becomes more important as you go down the schedule. We need some getting going, momentum. And it was a must-win, I think, for our program at Cal Davis. We needed a road win. We needed a victory over a like school, and went out and got it done. Now we play a home game. We come in front of our fans here in the Dome, get some momentum going into our conference play. This game is huge for us. We've got to come out and pick up where we left off, get fighting right back again.
Kickoff is slated for just after 2 p.m. Saturday, and if you can't get to the Dome, we've got you covered. The home opener will be the first of 4 Coyote broadcasts to air live on Midco Sports Network this season. I'll be on the call for you as always, along with Sioux Falls Storm head coach Curtis Riggs. He's filling in for Andre Fields. Well, a couple of USD's assistant coaches spent part of their summer in the NFL. Alex Heidert has that story next.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back. Well, this past summer, 2 USD coaches got the opportunity to learn from and work alongside some of the best football minds at the sport's highest level. For more on Marquise Williams and Matthew Middleton's NFL experience, here's Alex Heiner.
At this time 2 months ago, special teams coordinator and defensive line coach Marquise Williams and wide receivers coach Matthew Middleton were at NFL training camp with the Detroit Lions and Chicago Bears, working alongside the likes of veteran head coaches Jim Caldwell and John Fox. Williams and Middleton earned the rare opportunity to coach in the NFL for the summer through the Bill Walsh Minority Coaching Fellowship, a program established in 1987 to expose talented minority college coaches to life in the NFL. Williams, now in his 4th season at USD, applied for the fellowship in 2013 and was offered a position within the Bears organization that summer.
I was actually recruiting in Chicago, and I got a call from the Chicago Bears. Did an interview in June, found out a couple weeks later I got the opportunity, and then a month later I was in training camp with them. There was a lot of guys that interviewed, and I was just lucky enough to get the opportunity to get in and soak up all that knowledge.
After spending 2 training camps with Chicago and the latest summer in Detroit, Williams is a different coach than from when he started.
From my first year, doing the internship to now, I feel like I'm light years ahead of where I've been. Getting the opportunity to work with those guys and learning different techniques and tweaking it and bringing it here to USD has been great.
Williams' positive experience inspired Middleton to apply for a position this offseason, and just like Marquise before him, the third-year USD man found a spot in Chicago.
Once I got there, I was treated as a coach, and all the coaches were awesome as far as, just helping me out and letting me get on the field and coach. It was a coaching job. It was just like, being here at USD.
Both Middleton and Williams have gained much from their limited time at the NFL level, but it's the football program at the U that might benefit even more.
I was blessed and fortunate enough to have that opportunity to, go and learn at the highest level, help, perfect, professional players' craft, and also bring those tools back to bring it for our guys.
This is more so I can help prepare them. That's what your coaching job is to prepare your players and your team, for whatever may face them for, and so I can do that now, so it's awesome.
Oh, what a great opportunity for both Williams and Middleton, who have not ruled out pursuing a full-time NFL coaching job someday. Each told me, though, their passion right now is to help grow athletes at the college level, both on and off the field, Jay, and that's good news for USD.
Thanks, Alex. All right, that is our time for this week. Remember, the Coyotes host Drake this Saturday in the 2015 home opener, and you can see it right here on Midco Sports Network. And whether you see it or not, we'll be back here next Tuesday night to break it all down for you on another episode of Coyote Corner. For Alex Heinert, I'm Jay Elsen. We'll see you then.